a journey of justice and compassion. Once upon a time, in a large village, there lived a poor man with his wife. They lived in a small, humble house, and although life was hard, their hearts were filled with love and kindness. In the same village, a wealthy man and his wife lived in a grand palace. They possessed great wealth, but greed and selfishness had blinded their hearts. The poor man worked for the wealthy couple, helping them with everything they needed. Despite his kindness and hard work, they treated him with cruelty and contempt. Every day, he endured their mocking laughter and constant humiliation. One day, the poor man's wife fell gravely ill. Her condition worsened, and the man desperately searched for help. He needed money to take her to the doctor, so with a heavy heart, he went to the wealthy man and his wife to ask for assistance. However, instead of helping him, they insulted him, mocked his pain, and drove him out of their home. The poor man returned home with tears in his eyes and a heart full of sadness and anger. A few days later, his wife passed away. Overwhelmed with grief and disappointment, he decided to leave the village where he had suffered so much injustice. Carrying a small bag with everything he owned, the poor man set out on a long journey. He walked for days, facing hunger and exhaustion, until one day he collapsed by the side of a distant road. A kind, elderly man who lived in an old house found him and took him in. The elderly man gave him food and water and listened to his story. Touched by the poor man's struggles, the old man said, "I have great wealth, but my children abandoned me, and I live here alone. Stay with me, and we will keep each other company." Grateful for the man's kindness, the poor man stayed and looked after him. After some time, the elderly man fell ill. On his deathbed, he bequeathed all his wealth to the poor man. Now a wealthy man, the poor man decided to return to the village where his hardships had begun. When he arrived, he found the wealthy man and his wife living in complete poverty. They had lost everything and were homeless. Filled with compassion, the poor man gave them the house where he and his late wife had once lived. Then he bought back their ruined palace and went to them, saying, "You can now return to the life you once had." The wealthy man, astonished, asked, "How can you do this for us? Have you forgotten how we treated you?" The man replied with a calm smile, "When I came to you, my wife was sick and I needed help, but you turned me away and humiliated me. My wife passed away, but God blessed me with wealth and kindness from others. Now I use what God has given me to help those in need." The wealthy man, filled with shame and regret, raised his hands to the sky and said, "O Lord, you are truly great, and I was among the wrongdoers. Forgive me." And so the poor man who once suffered was blessed with wealth and kindness, while the once wealthy man learned a valuable lesson: never mistreat the poor or consider wealth permanent. Moral of the story: always treat others with kindness and compassion, for the world often gives back what we sow. Wealth and status are fleeting, but good deeds and humility are eternal treasures. Support the channel. If you enjoyed this story and found it inspiring, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming and meaningful stories. Thank you for your support.